Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Topic Talks. I'm here with my special guest, my friend Michaela. Michaela, say hi.
Hello.
And if you haven't been listening, we were reviewing the Grammy Award nominee list for the different categories. The next category that's just kind of here, we're just kind of going with the flow, is Best New Artist. Now, Michaela and I were talking before we started up the second half. There's only a couple names on here that I know. The first one is Courtney Burnett. I feel like I've heard the name, but I can't put a song. And then there's James Bay. Never heard of him. Sam Hunt is he's big in country music. He's a huge country music person. Um, but his thing is, remember how I said earlier that I like how there's a song um, when it has like a nice melody and then like a rap portion.
Mhm.
Well, he does kind of that, except he's got like a nice song, and then it's like he's talking, like talk rapping, but he does it
Oh,
so well
okay.
that it works. It's actually kind of a cool. In the beginning, I did not like him. I will have to say that. In the beginning, I did not like the style that it was, but it has kind of grown on me, and I do like his songs. So he's a big country music person. Um, the next one on the list. Have you heard of Sam Hunt, Michaela?
I have not, but as long with you, I think Courtney Barnett sounds really familiar. And if I'm not mistaken, she's from Australia, correct? I think.
She could be. I could run a quick search and find out.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
I'm pretty sure that there's been a lot of artists lately that have had unique voices, or at least who seem to say words in a way that interests a lot of Americans who don't talk that way. Especially me, myself, and I is a great example of that. I know I've already brought that up, but there's been, I mean, you can hear it in Diamonds with Rihanna, even though she doesn't really have an accent,
yeah.
um, or at least it doesn't show in most of her music. Certain words, if you say it a certain way, kind of piques people's interest and get stuck in their heads. Something new.
Yeah. If I can get my keyboard to work, I'll finish looking up
She looks like
Wikipedia. Um
she's having a lot of fun in a lot of her music videos, I have to say, or
so
her pictures and everything.
so she's from Australia? You said you think?
Yep. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Um yep, is an Australian singer, songwriter, guitarist. Um okay, well she's from Australia. She was mentioned by both the Rolling Stones and the New York Times to be a standout performer. This is according to Wikipedia. So if you can trust Wikipedia, that's what they say. Um, I feel like I've heard this, so after that'll be another one that I will have to look up, and I might play it on Topic Talks next week after I look it up. Um, do you want to introduce or say the next, finish off the list, Michaela?
Well, there's James Bay, Sam Hunt, which I believe you mentioned, and Tori Kelly. And the last person on the list, who is the person that we both know, is Megan Trainor.
Megan Trainor. I can't get over how and like I said, it's not just because she had that one song, all about the bass and all that. She also did a song called "Lips Are Moving," and
Mm-hmm.
it's actually really cool. Like I said, she's just got an awesome voice, and I can really respect somebody who not only has an awesome voice but knows how to use it.
Mm-hmm. I
Um,
wonder where she got her training from because whoever taught her very well, and if she figured it out on her own, more power to her.
right. There's a lot of people who do figure stuff like that out on their own, and honestly, I'm kind of jealous. I mean, I think I have a pretty good voice. I've been told I have a pretty good voice, but I don't work towards it. Well, I do. I work towards it and try to get better. But some of these people, I've known I've heard of a lot of artists that, like, they sound good because they've got auto tune, and then you get them in their first couple concerts, they don't sound as good as they do on their label,
Oh yeah,
and then
yeah.
they work with big professional vocal coaches and kind of get their voices up to where they should be. I don't
Well,
feel like Megan Trainor's ever had anything like that. I feel like she's been kind of um, up there since the start of her
pretty solid.
career.
Yeah. That's actually a good example of that would be Adele. Now, if you listen to some of her earlier albums, and I don't know why I've listened to all of her songs, but I have at one point, and I'm not even a huge fan or anything, but you can hear in her early songs where she's stretching her voice to a limit that she hasn't practiced regularly, and you can kind of hear it strained. And in her newer albums, there's definitely a key difference. After she destroyed her vocal cords and had to get surgery and all of that, she
I did
really had to
not
get
know
on
about
top of
that.
that training. Oh, yeah. And the only reason I know about that is because I happened to be in choir the year it all happened, and my teacher was telling us all about why things were wrong. I mean, she's got an incredible range, but she pushes it out in the wrong way, or she did, um, in some of the notes she was trying to get. And but now she doesn't do that, and it is a very clear difference if you listen to her old stuff compared to now. Granted, she was also a lot younger, so there might have been a little bit of a factor of voice is still changing, or things are still undergoing a lot of stress at the time, and she's still exercising her vocal cords to whatever limits they may reach and everything.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
don't
it
I
was
don't know what it
fun.
is about this first song or Hello, but I can't like it's a good song. It is. I think
Mhm.
it might be that it has been played way too much. But I can't get into it. Like I like it. It's a good song, but it's not one of those that like, oh, I'm gonna go out and buy this song. I like the song, I'm gonna talk about it all the time. No, it's not one of those. And I'm one of those people. I'll tell if I know if I have heard a really good song, I'll go out and I'll tell everybody I know. You
Mhm.
guys can ask Michaela. I talk a lot, which is why I'm going into this field of broadcasting. But it's just I like a good song, and there's some good songs that I'll talk all day about. There's songs that are like, I'll listen to it, and then there's songs that I'll tolerate, and then there's songs that I just will not. And it hello, her newest song kind of falls in between the I'll listen to it and the categories.
Yeah.
But like it's good. My girlfriend said she doesn't like when Adele does slower music, and I disagree strongly. I feel like when she did the Skyfall theme song for the James Bond movie, it was awesome. I
Mhm.
actually did go around. I was telling everybody about it and showing them the video, and I thought it was really cool. It also could be that this was one of the first times that I actually knew the artist singing the James Bond song.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah.
Um, anyway, so moving on our list, the next one is best pop solo performance.
Yeah, I have a little bit to say about the last person who appears on this list. I there are certain songs that grow on you after a while. You hear them, and something about them just kind of gets into you. And I have to say, "Can't Feel My Face" is definitely one of those for me. I
I
had never heard of The Weeknd
I've
before I heard this song, and I thought this song was hilarious. And then I learned it was about drugs, and I thought it was even funnier that it was nominated for a Children's Choice Awards.
Well,
It just keeps getting funnier and funnier to me.
did you know Uptown Funk is about drugs too? And
Oh
like I
yeah.
didn't even know it. Somebody had to tell me. And I'm like, well, and that's probably one. I'm pretty sure that was nominated for some form of kids award too. It,
Yeah,
it
I had to rewatch the music video for Can't Feel My Face. And you see these people that enter in the music video that are not the main guy who's singing, and they look like they've been on drugs for a long time, some of them, or they look like they've fallen along hard times. And I never would have drawn that correlation unless somebody told me, which is probably why it became a Kids' Choice Award uh, pick, because the kids don't get it. But it's kind of like with movies, they have those subtle innuendos to keep the parents and other people entertained, but they're still good at their base.
yeah, I really like those, especially like you said in kids movies when they have those, you know, sexual innuendos that kids just kind of right over their head, but it gives the adult, a little bit of a chuckle so that they're not sitting there, oh, it's another kids movie. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I actually I can't lie. When I first saw a post, somebody posted and like, I'm gonna go see The Weekend, and I'm like, how are you gonna see a Weekend? It's like I didn't know that The Weekend was I guess he's a person, or an
Well,
artist.
a group, yeah.
Is it a group or is it an artist?
You know,
I
it
feel
might
like
just
it's a
be an
person.
artist, but it's also not spelled like a proper weekend, if I remember correctly. So if they said weekend spelled the way we normally see it,
It's spelled
then I
W
would
E
also be
E
very
K
confused.
E or WEEKND.
Yeah.
Um, but no, it's funny because after that, after I kind of figured out who he or they were, I started seeing a lot of pictures of, and the people who told me about this, or told me about the artist told me about this. But his head, the main guy, his hair is so weird that I guess he's been compared to like looking like a piece of chicken, like if you take his head. And there's literally like memes on Facebook if you look, or if you go on Google, and it'll be his face and then a piece of chicken. And if you look hard enough, it actually kind of does look like a piece of chicken.
I mean, just like The Weeknd isn't spelled quite like you normally see it, and his hair and everything. These are all ways to grab attention that have worked for many people. I mean, look at Lady Gaga, that have grabbed people's attentions and gotten their facial recognition out, gotten their name out, and stuff like that. And I don't think he's doing anything differently. It is some very odd hair, but he is a solo artist. The award he is up for is solo performance, so I guess I should have gotten the hint from that.
Yeah,
But
you and I both missed that. So, um, like I said, I thought he was a person, and one of those things, like one of the things that kind of bugs me, is like group or people that like things, or when people talk about like groups that I know and they refer to like the group as him, I'm like
mhm,
them every time they say him because I know it's a group.
mhm,
And then so when I was talking to my friends, the people who told me about the weekend, and I'm like, oh, so you know, what are the band members' names? And they're like, the weekend is one guy, and I'm like, what? Why is his name the weekend?
mhm.
Like
It seems plural.
I want to know what made him come up with that name. Was he sitting there like, dude, I want to be famous one day, but I need a good name. What would be a good name? And somebody probably walked up to him and said, "You know what everybody loves? Weekends. Why don't you name yourself the week?" I can't get over the name itself.
Well, I
Um,
mean, people are always happy. Hey, it's the weekend. It's the fun part of the week.
yeah,
Maybe it was related something to that, but I mean, we can speculate all we want. I'm sure there's another reason for it.
there probably is. I mean, I've actually given up on trying to figure out why people are named like Rascal Flats. I was curious why they were named Rascal Flats, and
Hmm.
upon watching, a lot of stuff about them and just kind of trying to figure it out gradually, I found out that somebody, I guess they were like performing at a bar or something when they were not as popular, and this guy's like, "What do you call yourselves?" And he's like, "You should call yourselves Rascal Flats." And I guess that's how they got their name. And it didn't make sense. I'm still trying to figure out why, like, what is a Rascal Flat? So
Yeah.
I've just kind of I've still speculated a little bit, but I have tried to give up on, trying to figure out why people or groups are named the way they are. It's kind of
Mhm.
like the Eagles. Why are they named Eagles? What do they do? Like look up at the sky and go, well, "Look, it's an eagle. It's a good creature. We're gonna name ourselves the Eagle." Which,
Yeah.
by the way, did you know about the passing of one of the original members of the Eagles, Glenn Fry?
I did not hear about that.
Yeah, that was a couple months ago. He passed away, and actually the Grammys tonight, it's actually one of the reasons that I want to watch the Grammys, is because they're going to do a tribute to Glenn Fry, and the Eagles, all the original Eagles are going to come up and play a song and do a tribute to him. So I think that'll be really cool. I'm really excited
That
for
should
that.
be cool.
Um,
Yeah.
so getting back onto the list that we got kind of off on, the first, we named off one name that's on this list, one of the nominees for the best pop solo performance. Um, the Heartbeat song by Kelly Clarkson. I probably heard it, but I don't know why, like what the title has to do. I don't know.
It's I I don't know that it'll win. I don't believe it'll win, but I do think it's a pretty solid song by itself. Kelly Clarkson has always been a pretty solid artist. Her songs are. She's not a one-hit wonder by any means.
Oh no, she's had several hits, and
Mhm.
actually she kind of she made somewhat, because she's a little bit on the country charts if I remember correctly, when she first kind of came back after her, because she had kind of a little bit of an absence after
Mhm.
around like the late 90s, early 2000s. She put out a whole bunch of songs, and then she just kind of dropped off the face of the earth. I think she got married and had kids and all that.
Well, life happens.
Yeah, and I mean, the same thing happened to Hillary Duff. But yeah, I've always liked her as an artist. But I haven't heard the song, so I think she's just trying to get back to the she's trying to find a new style, because the old style that she had kind of isn't working anymore. The whole teen pop thing that she used to do doesn't work anymore because she's not a teen. Um, so, and then there's the next on the list is "Love Me Like You Do." I think I remember this
Yeah,
song, and it literally that is the entire song.
yeah,
It,
exactly.
it's kind of like say what you need to say. You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about? It literally repeats the line. But it is a good song. Like I said, I like that other song and I like this song.
Ellie Goulding really reminds me of the artist that's in. She's she was part of Frou Frou. I think she's Imogen Heap now, or vice versa. She really reminds me of her style, a British artist that has a very kind of, I don't want to say mellow, but it's a softer pop kind of side of things that's become more and more popular as of late. And I used to love Frou Frou and all of those songs and the kind of things that Ellie Goulding's doing. And for some reason, I've kind of backed away from that genre, but I've noticed it has gained a lot of ground.
It's kind of funny because I'm looking here and it says track from and it says 50 Shades of Grey, and I'm like, oh, okay then. I did not watch that movie, but I mean it's a good song, so did not expect that to be on the list. Another one we've already talked about this artist. It's Ed Sheeran. His Thinking Out Loud is on there. And then there's Taylor Swift's Blank Space.
She's got a
Talking,
lot of songs on here, I've noticed.
yeah, there's a lot of repeats on here.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
Out of this category, I think Taylor Swift is gonna win a big chunk
Mhm.
of stuff. But I feel like Ed Sheeran and maybe Megan Trainor are kind of hold their own in what categories they are all in together. Um, so out of this, I mean, The Weeknd, Taylor Swift, and Ed Sheeran. It'll probably be Taylor Swift, which will make me mad because I'd much prefer Ed Sheeran to take this one. But
Mhm.
any of those three, I feel like have a really good like chance of winning. And for all I know, um, what is it, Ellie Gould with
Ellie
"Love Me
Goulding.
Like You"? Yeah, I she could walk home with the award. Sometimes you just can't predict how these shows are gonna go. Um,
Oh yeah. It'll be whoever you least expect, and even then, it's not like these people aren't all marvelous artists. And I try not to get upset when my favorite person isn't chosen because so many people have so many different tastes in music. And speaking to that a little bit, looking at all of these artists and even the ones listed under metal or rock or everything, I would not consider rock artists, or I would not consider metal artists except for maybe one or two of them. But I feel so out of my element with a lot of these artists that maybe I thought I was getting into mainstream as of late, but apparently I am very wrong.
See, because I'm going into broadcasting, I and my friend is a DJ and I help him out a lot. I try to keep up with some of the newer songs, and there's some songs that I can't stand, and my friend looks those ones up and takes care of those. But when you DJ, it doesn't matter what you like.
Oh yeah.
I found out it matters what everybody else likes, and like we made this mistake one time. We were DJing a middle school dance,
Oh no.
and we had all these like they were like all the requests. We made the mistake of putting down a request sheet. We don't even do that anymore. And people
Yeah.
were requesting the song. I don't know if you remember. It was Gas Pedal.
Is it inappropriate?
Apparently, I didn't understand the song, so I didn't know how inappropriate it was. Well, they kept
Yeah.
requesting it, and um, my friend used to actually go to that school. He was going to the high school at that time, in that district, and he went and asked the principal, and the principal, I guess, said yeah. So Brandon's like,
Uh.
and my friend's just like, play it, whatever.
Oh
And
no.
we played it, and this teacher came running up on the stage. Why would you play
Oh.
that in front of these kids? I'm like, look at this sheet. I'm like, they are requesting it. They're gonna
Mm.
hear it somewhere else other than here. Why does it matter?
Well, that's something that I went to. I forget what event it was, but it was a bunch of middle schoolers too, and I was very surprised by the songs they were playing. But I also didn't really think anyone in the room really cared because they weren't really listening to the music. It was a social event, and I think a lot of times that it's not as big a deal. They're gonna hear it on TV commercials, if anything. They're gonna hear it everywhere. Not that that's necessarily a justification, but I think so often that request sheets are a kind of a dangerous game to play every time because you're gonna get like at bowling alleys they have some of those request music hours or whatever, and you always get somebody's gonna play what they want to play and they're gonna piss somebody off because somebody doesn't like it, and then you have that fallout of, well, let's just stick to the mainstream stuff that most of the people are probably gonna like, and the rest of them are gonna maybe tolerate. And if they absolutely don't like it, they'll probably just leave.
Well, and then you'll we found out by pulling out the request sheet and not using it,
Mhm.
and just kind of taking that whole process out.
Mhm.
One, you don't get the rude kids who write all over the entire page the one song that they
Mhm.
want that we can't play, or we've decided we're not playing because it is
Yeah.
too, you know, it's not good to play at a school.
Mhm.
Um, but we have found out that there are kids, like the kids who actually are listening and dancing to the music, they'll kind of come up and they'll say, "Hey, can you play this song?"
Mhm.
And I'll usually tell them, "Hey, let me check it out first. I'll look it up on YouTube."
Yeah,
And
you gotta
like
screen it.
I'll pull it up and I'll sit there and screen it. And if I don't hear anything bad, I'll play it. And then I see those kids out dancing, and that's a lot better than half it. Because before, the request sheets were just, it got out of hand because kids were, they wanted this song and they wanted this song. But yet, if you don't have a request sheet, you don't give them the option to do that.
Yeah.
The people who actually want it will come up and try to request it. And if you can, and they actually have to like come and talk to you, and it makes it a little bit harder for them to be rude. It's kind of like cyberbullying. It's easier to bully somebody on the internet rather than to their face. And that sheet's kind of the same way. They can do whatever they want on that sheet. Well, when they have to come and talk to me about it and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, can you play this song?" They're more likely to be nice about it rather than be rude. I have had some people who were like, play this song, play the song. Why won't you play the song? Play the song. And I finally told him, I said,
Mhm.
listen, I cannot. I've already screened the song. I've listened to
Yeah.
it. I cannot play it. I have criteria that I have to meet.
I
I
mean, you're dealing with middle schoolers here at the same time. I'm not really expecting them to be the most mature group of people.
well, and
I
it's
have been pleasantly surprised many times. There are some incredibly mature middle schoolers, and by mature, I don't mean like aware. I mean you can have intelligent conversations and forget they're 13.
yeah. Um, well, and it's funny because going from school to school, you see a difference. Like we have one district that we go to every year. We still go to this district. We can play anything we want to, and they will dance. Once we get them dancing, we can play anything we want to, and these kids will dance to it, and it's great because it makes us feel good that we do this enough that we know that crowd, we know what they like, and we can get them
Mhm.
dancing and keep them dancing. But
That's good.
before I got off on my tangent, the song that we played this one song that the kids didn't like. My friend's like, okay, change the song after we played Gas Pedal, and I'm like, okay, I'm like, what do you want me to play? He's like, anything. So I clicked
Oh
on
no.
Sweet Caroline, and we got booed. And I'm
Yeah.
like, he's like, why'd you
Slow
play that?
song.
I'm like, you told me to play something. That was the first thing that
Yeah. I
literally was
always
right
go to
there.
the classics, everything that's a good old fashioned song I would always jump to in those cases. But if you switch from like a heavier song or a faster paced song to a slow song, you can just see things crash.
Oh, it is all about the pace of the song. I have learned one of my friends got married on a cruise ship, and um so they came back and did a little thing outside, and they're like, hey, my friend was originally supposed to DJ for them for their little reception they had back at home, and he ended up already having something else that he had to do. So I took my stereo over there. I have the same software that he does, and I just came up with a playlist. Is all I did,
Mhm.
and I hooked it up to my stereo. But um, I put it on my tablet, and I listened to it and listened to it and listened to it and listened to it, and they basically made the list. They gave me all the songs that they wanted, and I added one or two that here and there to help it
Yeah.
flow better. But I worked on the organization for that playlist. Um, because I was just gonna be, putting it on repeat. But I didn't want it to go fast, slow, fast, slow, fast, slow. You want kind of you
Yeah.
don't want it to be like blocky, like a um like a bar graph. You want it to
Yeah.
kind of flow. Kind of go from, if it's really fast, you kind of want to work your way back down, work
Yeah.
your way up, and work your way. You kind of want to just keep it. you want to go up for a couple songs and then slowly kind of
Mhm.
work your way back down and come up for a little bit. So that
Curating music takes a lot more than I would have ever guessed.
yeah, it's I have learned that it is all about the order that you play it in. And
Mhm.
I mean, if you look at my playlist, a lot of people will laugh at me because my playlist that I had, especially on my iPod, when I was still using iTunes, literally I would create this playlist and I'm like, oh, and it's like, all these. But if you, and like to me, like it's, you go through, you can kind of see the years of when the artist came out and what songs,
Mhm.
and you can see them getting newer and newer and newer. Um, but then going back, you can kind of see like it'll go up. Like I've always worked. I apparently, without even knowing it, I've always worked to try to have it, go up and stay up for a little while and kind of come back down. And because I created playlists with like for the mood that I was in. So like
Yeah.
like I have a, those days when you just feel great and you're getting in the car and you're driving and you want something good. I've got like two Great Day playlists. It's literally the name of them, Great Days 1 and 2. And one of them's kind of like a rock, more or less like a rock kind of station kind of list. Then the other
Mhm.
one's kind of like a country, but they're all upbeat songs. If you listen to them,
Yeah.
they're all very upbeat and they still wave a little bit, but they're all nice, and very upbeat.
I am probably the worst curator. If anyone were to look at any of my playlists on YouTube or any of my music collections, I not only jump speeds like none other from a really fast paced song to a really slow song, but I jump genres and languages.
I don't jump
I
la-
would confuse everyone.
Oh wait, no, I can't say I don't jump languages because I do have this station and it's literally named a whole bunch of random letters because I didn't know what to name it at the time, and then that list became such a like a it became kind of like a memory to me because my friend and I would always play it on our way to skill center
Mhm.
um during high school, and it was kind of cool because so now I can't change the name, but what I did is I put like I kept the original name and then I just put skill center behind it, so then I remembered that that's what the list that it was. But if you listen to
Yeah,
it, there's dubstep, there's country, there's rock, there's like you go through and it's everything. So
oh, believe me, I know. I was once asked on a road trip to play some music. I was like, you guys don't want to listen to my music, but they demanded it. And so it went from metal to dubstep to K-pop, which is Korean hip hop, to Swedish rap, to literally everything under the sun that I had in my playlist. I have such a wide range of music that I like for all sorts of varying reasons that it is really, really difficult for me to divide it into genre and then divide it into pace and then explain why I like it. So sometimes I just listen to an entire album instead because it's easier and it's generally the same kind of sound.
yeah, I've always tried to just the last little bit because we're about to run out of time. I've
Hmm.
always tried to have, if you got in my car, I wanted to have something that you like. So that's how my playlist have always worked. And
Yeah.
on that note, we're about to run out of time. We got about a minute left. Um, so I just want to thank you, Michaela, for tuning in. If you want to hang on for a couple minutes, I'll sign off and then we can talk a little bit off the air. So
Okay.
thanks for joining us. I've loved talking to you. Always had a
Thank you.
pleasure.
Wonderful.
And feel free to kind of jump in and call us anytime you want to and join in on the conversation.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, everybody, that was Michaela, our special guest for today. I hope it wasn't too boring without my friend Zach. I tried to make it as conversational as possible. So if you like the show, let us know. Again, we'll do this every Monday at starting at 6. Um, I'm Aaron Klingsmith, signing off.